So what's the solution? Now we're in there. How would you, what are you going to do? You get elected, how do you feel about, what do we do now?
There are two bills that have been in Congress for almost a year now that provide the legislative vehicle and mechanism for changing our policy and moving in a different direction. And that's the Murtha bill and the McGovern bill.
And do you support either of those bills?
I support both of those bills.
And give us a synopsis.
The Murtha bill is the redeployment of the troops to safe areas, whether it be Kurdistan or whether it be Kuwait or whether it be ships in the Gulf and so forth, to get them out of harm's way. Right now, our personnel is in the middle of a civil war, which they really, and today, we heard today that they are now recalling more Marine reservists.
That are back in civilian.
Thousands more Marine reservists to go back, and now we're going to increase our personnel in the area. But in any case, the Murtha bill says get them out of the harm's way, and the McGovern bill says we don't spend any money. It's prohibited to spend any money for anything but this redeployment, and then when they are in a safe and organized position, then you bring them home. Now, for those, I mean, there is this quandary that people feel about, well, what's going to happen to Iraq if we...
To the civilians that are kind of, well, okay, to the people, right?
I think a case can be made that there's not much worse that can happen than what's going on even when we're there, but here's one way to look at it. And this is what we just finished recording a message to the troops for those who want to vote in the primary. They call into a special number and so forth to hear the candidates and make up their own mind so they can vote by absentee ballot.
Okay.
Basically, our position on that is that these guys have done their job. If you want to measure it by any sort of objective standards, we got rid of the tyrant, we helped them write a constitution, and we protected them in the conduct of 3 elections that resulted in what we were told was a unity government, and so they have a government, and now it's time for the Iraqis to sort these problems out for themselves. It's their country. We're making the matter worse rather than making it better. And as soon as they are in a position where they're responsible for the outcome, they're going to have to sort it out and decide what's the best way to resolve it. I think what we're going to find, and most experts I think agree at this point, is that you're going to end up with 3 countries. And there's nothing, if people look back on in the history of this region, Iraq is not a natural country. It was never, it was formed at the end of in the post-colonial period by a British bureaucrat, essentially, that drew the lines and put people who
didn't want to live together.
So now's the opportunity for them to decide how they're, and really the only sticking point is how do you divide up the oil.
They're not too much interested in anything else.
Otherwise, you know, there's not much reason for. One of the things that I think people might be interested in, we have a situation where in Iraq, these people are sitting on top of 115 billion barrels of oil.
Wasn't that supposed to be paying for this war?
115 billion barrels of oil at $75 a barrel is $8.6 trillion, which is worth $300,000 for every Iraqi citizen.
Should we grant them citizenship
on the flip side, that's not a bad idea. On the flip side, we're sitting on top of a $9 trillion debt
to pay for the war,
which is costing, which Ben and everybody else, it's $30,000 for every man, woman, and child in this country is what the national debt represents. So they got a bank account of $300,000 ahead, and we've got a debt of $30,000 each, and we're responsible for, you know,
so what's wrong with this picture?
What is wrong with this picture? We don't have enough money to provide safety and security and peace to the streets of Dorchester, but we have enough money to try to provide peace and security on the streets of Baghdad. The priorities are way out of line, and I think people, let alone, we have a gas tax.
Mm-hmm.
Price of gasoline has gone up, as everybody knows, 100% in the last 5 years.
Okay.
Now, the cost of extracting the oil from the ground
It's not changed.
hasn't changed.
Mm-hmm.
But because we have succeeded in destabilizing the entire region that is supplying the petroleum, the cost of the raw material has gone up because of speculation, because of normal economic, factors. So,
And is the gas tax based as a percent or as a set fee?
oh no,
It's not a percent.
No, that's right. But I wasn't inferring.
If it was, it would. They were really bringing in the money.
I wasn't inferring that
We
when
were
I said
collecting
gas
more because of the
tax,
higher
no,
prices.
no,
Okay.
it's-
What were you inferring? Just the
Well,
fact
but
that
well, let's put it this way. It's another cost of the war
at
that,
home here,
right.
and this winter is going to be very expensive for many people.
So we're not only, and by the way, the $8 billion that we spend every month, $8 billion, which incidentally is one big dig every 7 weeks. If
How
you
much
look at
damage
it,
is
if you look at it, yeah, but if you look at it in that way,
Right.
the big dig
Right.
underpinned the economy of Eastern Massachusetts, of the Boston
Last 10
metropolitan
years.
for 20 years.
20 years.
20 years.
Okay.
But we spend that amount of money on the war in 7 weeks in Iraq. So, we got tax overrides everywhere to try to build schools here, but we're building schools in Basra.
And then the Treasury, the Federal Reserve wants to raise interest rates because inflating oil prices and things like that. So people are paying even more on the adjustable mortgages and things like that.
By the way, we're borrowing, every penny we're spending in Iraq, we're borrowing. So.
And who's
it's
lending
not-
us the money?
It's not,
Are
we're not
Europeans,
even
are
paying.
Europeans
No,
lending
it's
us
the Chinese.
Chinese.
So,
Interesting.
it's a very, if you thought that, that you could write a script, sort of a Keystone Cops type of script, government, these guys, you couldn't write a better one. They haven't done anything right in the last 4 or 5 years, no matter how you look at it. And I think people are ready. They showed it in Connecticut, and the polls are clearly expressing it. People are fed up with the professional politicians that, basically live down in Washington, talk to themselves, and are always looking at their shadow with a finger in the air, trying to figure out whether or not they're going to get reelected. And most of them do, because all of the, the money and the media is trained on incumbents.
Sure.
But people are fed up, and they want people who talk straight and who have business sense and common sense, who are going to, treat them like adults, and are going to go down to solve problems.